And welcome to the Comic Corner. My name is Damon, and the first time we ever did one of these, we had on a very special guest, and it's this guy right here, Adam Barnhardt. Adam, how are you?
I am doing a-okay. Thanks for having me on again. How long? It's been like 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it's good to you guys got an intro now. It,
Mm.
it looks slick as hell.
We started, it started with the interviews, and we had on. I was telling you before, we had like Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Jed McKay. We've
Nice.
had like a Steve Orlando. We've had like a bunch of just great
Okay.
creators.
All the movers and
Modern,
shakers in comics, man.
seriously, it's been crazy, and it all started with you, Adam. So
I
thank you.
wish I could say I had something to do with you lining up all those awesome guests, but yeah, man.
You did. You did in a way. You gave me the confidence to start this, and we had
Dang,
the
man.
interviews. And then ever since then, starting last year, AF and myself, we started doing like a bi-weekly show, just kind of like recapping comics of the week, stuff of the week, stuff that we don't like. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. But back to you. The last time we had you on, it
Mhm.
was, I think it was like 2022. It's whenever Werewolf by Night came out. It's been that long.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So yeah, 2 years.
Yep. And I wanted to bring that up because since then you've become like BFFs with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Something like that. Yeah.
Become very, very
Yeah.
close. So it's crazy. Let's kind of go over what's changed over the last few years.
Um. What's changed? Everything. What? I might have not been married last time I spoke with you.
You just got married.
I just got married. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're expecting now. That's a big change.
Congratulations.
Um, that's probably the biggest change. Um, we started up a comic store and a game
Yes, you
store,
did.
so that's another big change. And I'm still trying to write comics, so
One of the
that's not
com-
necessarily a change, but
Yeah, well, one
I'm
of the
kind of
comics that we were talking about when
yeah.
you were on was Macabre Mel. And it was going through its Kickstarter. And not everything when you go on a Kickstarter is a
Hmm,
guaranteed success,
right.
right? And unfortunately, that one just didn't reach its goal. But that doesn't mean that Macabre Mel is done.
Right. Naturally, yeah. So that was just the perfect storm of everything working against us. Kickstarter goes through these waves and mountains and valleys of there's nothing on Kickstarter at times and campaigns do a lot better, and then other times there's 1 million campaigns going at any given time and people can't back them all, you know. So that wasn't fun. I don't even know how far off we were. I think we got half the funding needed. We just needed a that was the biggest campaign goal I ever tried launching. But it didn't work. But the story itself is pretty integral to what we're telling overall with the Riot verse. It works by itself exceptionally well, but it answers a lot of the questions people DM'd me after reading Shit Show. So Rollins and I wanted to. We made the decision. We have to release it in some form. So we did. So uh we're releasing it how released Knock number one last year. You could pre-order it on the Meltdown Press website, and we're just gonna print however many there are. And then once the physical copies get sent out, it'll be available on digital marketplaces, so Amazon, um, the Kindle store, or whatever it's called now on Amazon, and Global Comics.
Nice. Nice. And you mentioned the name in there, Meltdown Comics. You opened up a comic shop over the last few
Yeah.
years, and comic and game shop. It's a combo
Yes.
between the two. How did that all come together? Was it something that you always wanted to do?
I think it's something all of us have always wanted to do, and uh, my wife and I moved back to my hometown, and through the grapevine had heard of this location that was kind of available, and it's pretty affordable. Um, I think it was like kind of a perfect storm of everything. Magic I did not know Magic the Gathering is as big as it is.
Mhm.
That's pretty much carried us through since we've opened. Comics have been great too. People will just come in here and sit in our comic room for depends. I always call him the comic goblin or something. My dad's always chilling in there talking to people, probably wasting all their time, but it does. No, comics have people will just look through back issues, man. They need
Mhm.
stuff to fill their runs and all that stuff. So it's been going good.
No, that's great. So back to Macabre and the Riot Verse and all of that. For those who don't know, what is the Riot Verse? What is Macabre? How do we get here?
The Riot verse is pretty much the I mean, being completely transparent and honest, it's like the stories that I would have told if I had like an exclusive Marvel deal, like if I had like if I had a Punisher idea, I would just make
Mhm.
my own street level hero or something. But no, I love superheroes. Superheroes are what made comics what they are today. Even though a lot of publishers don't even bother, looking at superhero pitches or anything like that. So yeah, the right verse is my own little superhero world. It started with shit show.
Mhm.
It will the main story of it will go from shit show to another 3-issue mini called Lost Sun, which we're working on right now. And then 3 more volumes after that. Knock on wood. Comics take so long to make, so
Mhm.
that story is going to probably be told over the next 20 years. um, but no, every time something comes up, and a story speaks to me or a character speaks to me, uh, I'll kind of branch off and see how I can make that work in this little world. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
What I would definitely say about the shit show comics for those who are interested or if you want to learn more about it. If you like Marvel's Wastelanders, kind of old man Logan, old man Hawkeye stuff, that really you get the same vibe in that world. And that's when I was reading that for the first time like a few years ago. That's what I was getting. I was really, really digging it. But you stretched out into other things as well. What are some other books that you had that are kind of like within that universe?
Another book, so Shit Show was published through Scout, and then they picked up Keepers of the Cosmos,
Mhm.
which is my space story. Um, that was born out of the idea. It started with the idea of Lemon Drop the bear, and that idea started with if Rob Liefeld or Jim, like 1992 Jim Lee, got their hands on the Care Bears. So I started with Lemon Drop and then just kind of filled in the team and built it around him and came up with a story. Um, and and went off to the races. Those characters are probably some of the favorite I've ever made. And we're working on the next story in that kind of section as well. So there's Keepers of the Cosmos for space. We have a knock Kickstarter coming up. We offered that direct last year, and for the first time, we're bringing it on a Kickstarter because it's a completely different audience. So we'll have like a knock number one special edition Kickstarter with some new covers. Might even put in a short story or something. We'll have to decide. But so there's that. Knock is a disgruntled old man. He's always wanted to be a superhero, but he has no superpowers. So he tries doing whatever the hell he can, and oftentimes falls flat on his face, like the rest of us. So that's more of the. I always say Green Arrow and Daredevil. It's the street level type vibes. Wicked Salvation takes place in hell. So there's that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily full on horror. Our Lucifer isn't. I don't want to say bad because he's a bad
Mhm.
dude, but he's not like a demon you'd see in The Conjuring or Insidious or
Mhm.
something. He's more, but he's not as handsome as Tom Ellis either. There's a
The
nice
balance
line
between the
between.
2.
Yeah. So there's that. And I was just gonna say something else I was working on, but I can't remember. I got distracted. I get distracted easily. You ever get distracted easily?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Um
What I've
So yeah,
really liked
there's
about that knock book, I mean, I do enjoy my street level stuff, and that was very
Mhm,
street level, right? Like my favorite
mhm,
character in almost anything is Hawkeye. On the DC side, it's Nightwing. So like, it's you
right.
kind of get into the street level vibe, and it's especially it's a guy who's I think he was kind of with like a team of gods and
Mhm,
just people who are just so over him, and it's just like he's just there, just like I'm doing my best. I think we
right,
all get
yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. The leader of the team, yeah, like you said, is Vulcan. He's a god, and he's like made of fire. He's like fire itself. So it's just an interesting, like you said, balance of this dude who wants to do something, but he can't really. What's a dude gonna with no powers gonna do with someone who seeps nuclear radiation out of his pores?
Have you been reading anything recently that you've been enjoying off the shelves? Have you had
Eh,
time?
yeah, I've had yeah. So every time someone asks me this, I always default to the latest Black Hammer title. Black Hammer is my favorite
Naturally.
comic book ever created.
Hmm.
We've probably talked to this. It's a hill I'll die on. Black Hammer: The End is like the perfect summation of what Jeff Lemire set out to tell. It's just super comic booky, and Black Hammer's super meta the way it is. And the story he's telling with Black Hammer: The End is just it's chef's kiss. If you like goofy, over the top meta comics, Black Hammer: The End is it. I'm falling a little bit behind on the Massive Verse with Radiant Black and Rogue Sun. I'm caught up on Rogue Sun. Love Rogue Sun, um, but that type of vibe from there is good. I just what was it? Faceless and the Family from
Mm,
Oni Press, I think.
okay.
It was 4 issues. I'm gonna butcher his last name too. Matt Liznowski. I don't know. Whatever. Killer. It's this genre bending post-apocalyptic thing where this guy's I'm a sucker for like found family type stories. That's why I
Hmm.
love the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's about this guy who had a run in with these post apocalyptic Mad Max type criminals. So he like goes to great lengths in term like to try to get a facial reconstruction surgery.
Hmm.
So they don't know who he looks like anymore. Um, and it's just super nice. It's pretty quick. And then the art's completely unique. It's super fresh. DC essentially has a house style. You kind of know what to expect when you're reading a book, and same with Marvel to an extent. But this artwork is just incredible. So that's Faceless and the Family. What else? Um, that's off the top of my head. What are you enjoying?
Oh man, that's a lot. So for me, I mean, I've still been enjoying the Nightwing run.
Yep.
The last
Okay.
few
Nightwing. Yes.
issues, we've gone a little out there, and I'm really disappointed because Tom Taylor
Mhm.
said that it sounds like he's leaving the book after
Yes.
this next final arc, which is a huge bummer because I've loved
Right.
this book so much. And another book I've really been enjoying that I actually you mentioned like that house style. This one's a little different. The Poison Ivy run from G. Willow Wilson
Okay. Yeah.
has been phenomenal. And Masira Takara's art in that is so unique, like very different to what you'd see like anything else that like DC's putting out from like that house
Mhm.
style. Just the story itself and what I've been enjoying seeing DC do because I've really jumped on the DC wagon last year. Like last year was a
Mhm.
great year for DC Comics. And part of that was because Superman books were great and I really enjoy just the whole like Dawn of DC kind of like connected thing that they putting
Mhm.
out because DC for a while just kind of felt like books were kind of happening and nothing
Mhm.
was really kind of being told from like a grander thing. Like there'd be an event, but nothing would lead to an event. And now it feels like we're really starting to get kind of a complete story. This new run from Tom King of Wonder Woman is
Mhm.
just kick ass. DC Comics recently has been I've been in love with it. So that's been great.
Nice. Yeah.
And from like I hate to say like boom studios as indie because I don't really call them indie. It's Boom
Mm,
Studios now. Like, they're them Image not like indie to me anymore. They're just as known, at least in the comic space itself.
right.
But Something is Killing the Children is
Mhm.
when that book is out, always the first thing I read whenever I pull it.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's been great. Since you own a shop now, are you like interested to see like what people are picking up now? Like, because when you're a goer, you just kind of grab your books, but now that you own a shop,
Mhm.
you're like you kind of see all of it.
So we are in the town we're located in, man. I tell you, we probably, I don't know, under 2,000 people.
Hmm.
It's quite literally a village. So we've tried new comics. New comics um, don't really go over super well.
Okay.
Um, it's mainly just back issues, and online type sales. Um, but it is interesting to see, getting like the sales charts and all that stuff
Hmm.
from our distributors and all that kind of stuff. It does kind of shed a different light on all the stuff. It reaffirmed, like, I've never been a huge Spider-Man fan or a Wolverine fan.
Hmm.
But it's pretty clear that's always the best selling stuff. And they are who they are because Deadpool. There's a reason why at
Hmm.
one point there were 5 Deadpool ongoings at the same time, you know. Um, the people love that type of stuff.
Something I think is interesting right now is the Ultimate Universe that Marvel's built, and the sales for that are stupid. They're
Mhm.
just ridiculous. Obviously, Ultimate Spider-Man sold out. Ultimate Black Panther sold out. Ultimate X-Men's coming out next month, and I assume that will probably sell out as well. I've talked to my comic shop owner about this, and I know your shop is a little different, but I kind of want your opinion on this. And it's the number one thing that like we see Marvel do a lot. They really love their number ones. But because these issues sell out so quickly, do you think it's a hindrance that the majority of people who kind of like run into the store to get it are most likely not there to read it, but to flip it? And then like it's a very challenging thing because you can go to the shop. Like Black Panther was sold out before it even got to the shop
Right.
on Wednesday, which was
Mhm.
crazy. It was gone. I got there just early enough for Spider-Man, and there was still at least a few issues left of that. And I think it was because of the success of Ultimate Spider-Man that made Ultimate Black Panther jump up too.
Right.
But I worry a little bit that it would continue its sales after a few issues, not just because it's a number one, but because the people who would be interested in reading it aren't able to pick it up because it's
Mhm.
gone already, or you have to like go on eBay and pay like 45 bucks for a first issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know why it is. Maybe it's just because we're so involved in it, but comic speculation is overbearing at
Hmm.
times. There's YouTube channels dedicated to, they call it investing. And I mean, I wouldn't, go buy stocks or something, you know,
Exactly.
like, I don't, it's Spider Man. I mean, Ultimate Spider Man number one was about as good of a comic you can ever read. I
Mhm.
mean, Jonathan Hickman is just a good sell, no matter who he's writing or what he's on. Um, some of his stuff hurts my head sometimes, but Ultimate Spider-Man did not, and I think it resonated with. I never thought we'd ever get a Hickman Spider-Man book, and we did. I think they've already announced the second printing on X-Men 2, which might be like the earliest announcement ever since it does come out in March.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I'm sure Ultimate Spider-Man is probably on its fifth printing by this point. Um, yeah, it's we don't have lines out the door on New Comic Book Day here. But yeah, I don't. What makes me more upset, I think, than speculators going in and buying comics, are like the shops that don't price their comics and look it up at the counter,
Mhm.
or especially with like the Ultimate Spider-Mans, and things of that nature. How are, it came out. on a Wednesday and you're already selling it for $35, and the cover price is $4.99. It's
Yep.
just stuff like I get,
Like, not the
they
incentive covers or anything, like the A
right, not the ins
covers.
yeah,
Yeah,
just the A cover.
that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, but then at the same time, I'm sure they have rent that's substantially higher than Meltdown Games. So, who knows? It's an interesting industry
Mm.
to say the least.
So going back to your comic book universe, Macabre Mel, let's talk about it.
Let's
Like,
talk about it, man.
let's talk about it, because this was a book that was supposed to originally come out like a hot minute ago. It's done, I
Mhm.
assume, right?
It's not. It's completely done. I actually
Yep.
lettered it myself.
You
I've
did.
always, yeah, I did. I lettered it myself.
Wow.
I've always been design adjacent. I wouldn't consider myself a graphic designer by trade. I'm a web designer slash developer. Um, but with that naturally comes Photoshop and Illustrator and stuff like that. So I've messed around now for I'm gonna age myself. I think I made my first website when I was 12, so 20 years ago almost. Um, so yeah, I got into lettering. I bought where is it? It's somewhere over here. I think everyone should probably buy this and read through it. The Essential Guide to Comic Book Lettering by
Ooh.
Nate. Where is his name? Nate Picos from Blambot, or whatever. This is what the cover looks like. Invaluable information, man. For
Mhm.
16.99, this was. I think actually Image published it, but it reads like a college textbook if you were in a lettering class, and it's just phenomenal. And he goes step by step. By the end of this, if you had access to Illustrator and Photoshop, I'm confident anyone could letter a comic and it look halfway decent. That's just how powerful a book it is. Um, so, man, I
This
should set up
book
an affiliate link.
is in black and white, right?
No, it's full color, man.
Oh no, I'm talking about Macabre Mel.
Oh my God, Mel, yeah. Yes, it's black and white, so it
So
was
how does
pretty
that
easy to letter.
affect your lettering process then? Because your big whams and bams or whatever, they have to be, those aren't a color.
They're less whammy and bammy,
Whammy
that's
bammy.
for sure. It does restrict some, and that's we battled back and forth, man. We originally launched the Kickstarter as a black and white book because
Mhm.
Roland's artwork just looks dynamite in black and white. You have to have a certain style for it to work, and Rollins is one of those artists where his line art can work like that. And then everyone that wanted to back it was like, man, I want to back this, but only if it's in color. And we're like, okay, let's add color to it. So then we added color and we still didn't fund. So we're like, what the shit? We're not we're not gonna color it. We like it better in black and white anyways. Let's go to black and white. So that does put limitations, on the lettering, as you say, especially with special effects and stuff. But even um, lettering has advanced, even within like the past 2 years, 3 years.
Mm.
Um, Lettering has changed crazy. They're moving away from the huge dialogue ahs and all that stuff, and instead they're like outlining it with the red bubble, or they're turning the color of the font itself, from black to red or
Mhm.
things like that. Nate does a great job on all the Black Hammer books again. Hassan, I'm going to butcher his name as well. Hassan Otsmain Elhau or something.
Yep.
Elhau. He
Yep.
does
He does a bunch of stuff.
fantastic lettering.
He does a bunch of stuff. He does like the Cole
Yeah,
from Kelly Thompson, Mattia De Luis.
yeah, and he's just not. He's in DC now, climbing the ranks of DC stuff. Letter Squids on shit show and anything Letter Squids does. I would even go the length to say Letter Squids was a bit of a trendsetter. Um, he went from just black and white dialogue and bubbles to just green blob. Um, there's a moment in Keepers of the Cosmos 2 where someone says nutsack, and instead of and instead of doing a thought bubble, the thought bubble does look like scrotum, and it is. I lost it when I saw that page come in. I'm like, man, this is as crude as it is. It's just artistry, that someone could think of that and then bring it to fruition. It's absolutely insane. But lettering is I I'm glad people are starting to pay more attention to it because
Mhm.
I think it is at one point the least looked at facet of comic creation. But man, bad lettering can totally destroy a book. There's some indie
Mhm.
books I review for work that I just get into it and it's like, man, this is I want to like it, but it's hard to read because it's the lettering's bad, man. The art could look good,
Mhm.
the words could look good, but if they don't look good,
They
it's
don't look good, they don't capture you, they don't capture the
yeah,
moments, like you say with letter squids too. I remember, in your shit show book, like, whenever anyone said "bullshit," it would
mhm,
always be written in shit.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
would just kinda, like, add to like, it would add to the vibe, it would add to the moment of it. But if lettering is just, like, thrown out there like it's just Arial bold text
yeah,
centered on a word bubble, it makes it look like crap.
yeah. Wholeheartedly agree.
So, the last one, let's go back to Knock, since that
Mhm.
Kickstarter is coming out soon. What can we tease in the second issue of this?
So this is a Comic Corner exclusive. I
Ooh.
so the pre-launch page is already out, but I myself am kind of torn between Knock number one never saw Kickstarter, right? And the Kickstarter audience
Mhm.
is a completely separate audience from those who do direct or even have pull lists. There's some people that do nothing but back like small press Kickstarter books. So between, not even between you and I, between you, I, and everyone listening, I think I'm going to make it Knock number one special edition. We're going to do some new covers and see how number one does on Kickstarter before we do number two
Okay.
shortly thereafter. We have a cover from Juan Angel. Juan Angel is one of my favorite collaborators. He did one of his hyper realistic portraits of Bagface, um, and he's just brought out the demented weirdness of that butcher serial killer. Um, and I might we might put together a short story, a quick little short story for the back of that issue. But yeah, so Knox, the first of hopefully three Kickstarters I want to do this year. The next one um is going to be Keepers of the Cosmos. We got approval from a publisher to crowdfund the whole first volume as a trade paperback.
Okay.
And then after the trade paper, we're doing it reverse. We're gonna crowdfund the trade paperback, and then it'll go back out through the distribution channels direct. Because 2 and 3 haven't been solicited yet. So we'll get those out that way. And then see, I say all this while we're set to have a newborn in next 2 months from now.
And then things
So
get
we'll see.
crazy.
So things get crazy. So I hope to do 3, and then this fall, um, EC Comics is one of my favorite publishers of all time. I That's pretty much all I collect now is the Vault of Horror and the Weird Science and Tales from the Crypt, that type of stuff. Um, so I freaked out when I heard they're coming back yesterday with Jason Aaron. Oh, that's something you need to read. Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, That Texas Blood.
Okay.
If you haven't read that, phenomenal. I'm not a huge Western fan, but they kind of go into the supernatural and they kind of go into procedural type stuff. That tech split, and then they just did their first spinoff, which was the Enfield Gang Massacre. Again, a western, um, but it's a rootin' tootin' good time, man. That was really good. So, anyways, back to my initial thought. I've loved EC Comics forever, and I wanted to do kind of my own homage to that. So we're gonna do House of Haunts. I've worked with. It's the first Riotverse thing that's going to be partially written by people other than myself.
Oh
Um,
wow.
5 or 6 other writers I've worked with on it. It's my A meets B is Mortal Kombat meets the Universal Monsters.
Hmm.
It is a fight to the death tournament for pretty much all the magic in the world. So we have werewolves and vampires and swamp monsters and sea monsters and zombies. So that's this fall. House of Haunts, it's called. Knock #1 Kickstarter special editions coming soon, like soon. Um, with at least one new cover, we might try getting some favorites back, and some new backing material and stuff. Um, and that's my outlook for the year,
There you
I
go.
think.
So go to Kickstarter, pre-save, knock, N-O-C-K, knock. You'll see a guy with a bow and arrow, so you know
Yeah.
that that's right up my alley. And that
Yeah.
first issue was
That's
right
all I
up my
got, man.
alley.
That's all he has. Knockcomic.com, NOCK comic.com, and that'll take you to the pre-launch page. Follow it. We're aiming for a March 1st launch. We'll see. We might even do something funky and try metal covers again. We'll see.
Okay. Metal covers are nice. Metal covers
Metal
are
covers.
very, very nice.
Yes.
Now, the last thing before we go,
Mhm.
because my editor in chief would kill me if I didn't bring this up with you, but we did mention that Vincent D'Onofrio, you became very close with him.
Yes.
And right down the road from me is New York City. And I've been really wanting to just
Yeah.
go down to New York and just, say hi to the fine folks of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio,
Yeah.
filming their new Daredevil show. What are you most excited about for that show? Because man, I love that Mayor Fisk arc that
Yeah.
they literally just wrapped up like in Chip Zdarsky's run, which is crazy that if they're doing that, they're approaching something so soon from the comics.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's wild it's wild they're doing that. Man, after Love and Thunder and after Quantumania, man, I was burnt out. I'm like, man, I don't
Mm,
think I can do much more of this. And then Echo comes along, and Echo, I loved Echo so much. It's probably top 10 for me, man. Top 10 MCU stuff. Just Echo had was very much Marvel TV with a budget. That's what I'm saying. It's like if it wasn't afraid to do silly shit, because Marvel TV was always constrained by a budget, and they were too street level, to a fault. No Daredevil
mhm,
swinging through the skies with his batons or whatever you call it,
mhm,
or Iron Fist and a dragon, or something of that nature. They're street level characters, but at the same time, there's a sense of comic bookiness that they need to have, and we just didn't get that because every action scene was a fist fight.
mhm,
But Echo they had that crazy uh, cave sequence at the beginning, and she's traveling on a moving train and like larger than life set pieces that you would expect to see from a comic book property.
mhm,
So knowing that Marvel Studios is willing to do street level, if you call it street level plus, has me pretty excited, for Daredevil. Obviously, we've been getting set photos left and right. And there was one video where it looks like at least he's, doing his swinging thing.
mhm.
That's what excites me the most. Plus, you know, Wilson Fisk is my favorite MCU character. So seeing him back is pretty nice. Plus, who doesn't want to see through the credits special thanks to Chip Zdarsky?
Who doesn't want
That's
that?
that might be what I'm looking forward to most, quite frankly. But I don't know how much. I don't want to get into all the spoilers and wreck the set photo stuff for everyone listening. But there's multiple street level heroes in this, and I think that's what excites me the most. It's a nice palate cleanser, man. You sit through something trying to connect the dots through multiversal, multiple timelines, time traveling
Mhm.
stuff, and sometimes you just want to see someone punch someone.
Sometimes you
It's
just want to see Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk just slam someone's head in a car door.
right, right, which is so crazy, man. He's one of the nicest people I know, and to see how that one scene in Echo where she makes Fisk like go to therapy,
Mhm.
essentially, and see his own mind and stuff like that, man. I'm like, man, this is Emmy worthy acting. It just gave me goosebumps. Yeah, man, I'm excited. That's the project I'm most excited for. Um, Besides, the scuttlebutt around Midnight Suns, but yeah, man,
If that, yeah,
Daredevil should be great. It's probably not going to be 18 episodes, but that's all right.
that's fine as long as it's enough to tell a good story. I think
That's all that
everyone,
matters, man.
I think everyone will be content. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time. Absolute pressure. Where can people find you on the interwebs these days?
At Adam Barnhardt on Instagram and Twitter X. I have a Threads account under the same name. I don't thread that much. I should probably thread more. I think I have a Blue Sky account too, but whatever. Um, I'm mainly on Twitter and Instagram, anyways.
Adam, thank you once again. You can find me on Twitter at Damon Tweet. You can find me on Instagram at Damon.Graham. You can find me on Threads also at Damon.Graham because they won't let me change my name on that. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on wherever because there's just a new social media app like every 10 minutes, it feels like. And whenever no one pops up, I'll be there because that's just how things are. That is it for this episode of the Comic Corner. Be sure to go to Kickstarter and support Adam's Knock comic on there. Go buy Macabre Mel as well. I cannot wait for that, by the way, dude. Like that one I'm really, really excited for.
Soon we have, where do we have it? We have some samples too, man. A nice perfect bound
Ooh,
black and
look at
white goodness.
that.
It's nice, and yeah,
Look at
it's a
that.
graphic novella, man. It's a big meaty one shot. But there you go.
Can't
I
wait.
forgot I had it
Can't
there.
wait. That'll do it. Go support your local comic shops. Go visit Adam's shop. Adam, where is it
Yes,
again?
please. It is in Pocahontas, Iowa, 19th 3rd Avenue Northwest. So if you ever in Pocahontas, Iowa, I swear it's a real town. Um, Stop on by.
That'll do it. Everyone, go support your LCS. Go read more comics.